Wow is the one word I can use to describe this episode, guys. I mean, this episode was incredible. But to dive deeper into this review, alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I'm bringing you my episode 61 review of Dragon Ball Super. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So, let's first talk about the plot, and there is an insane amount of things to talk about today. So let's first start off by talking about Zamasu further acknowledging himself as Goku Black, and in order to make this video a lot easier to understand, although Zamasu and Goku Black are the same person, I'm just gonna call one person Black, and I'm gonna call the other one Zamasu for the immortal god, just to make it easier so I don't confuse myself and so I don't confuse you guys. So, Goku Black acknowledges himself as Zamasu, and he pretty much tells the entire story of how he traveled from the past to kill Gowasu. So, the interesting thing about this is that in this arc, we're pretty much dealing, and this completely confirms that I was wrong and I was also right about my prejudgment from a few weeks ago. I said a few weeks ago in several reviews that it is impossible for the future Zamasu to be the same one as the present. And was I right or was I wrong? Well, sort of. The future Zamasu is the future Zamasu. He is a different Zamasu. However, Black is the Zamasu from an altered present timeline that went to the future. So he's not exactly the same present Zamasu that Beerus just killed, recently. He is a Zamasu of the same present timeline that was altered. So we're dealing with three Zamasus in this arc, which is making this all kind of weird and confusing. And Geekdom is going to go into doing like a timeline explanation on all of the events up to this point. I'm going to do a video in the future where I'm going to encompass the entire future Trunks arc, and I'm actually going to kind of combine that with my alternate timeline theory once this whole arc is done. But I need to see all of the events play out before I can accurately talk about this, because there might be some more things that are added to the story. So now that we explained that we're pretty much dealing with three Zamasus in this entire arc, they also explain how not only did they wish for the future Zamasu to become immortal, but they also destroyed the Super Dragon Balls and killed all of the gods. Now, here's where I have a little bit of a question and a little bit of a confusion. Where's the Omni King in all of this? The reason why I'm asking is because the Omni King, I would believe, is this all-powerful guy. And it's very hard for me to believe that even if you say you follow the rules where you kill the Supreme Kais and that somehow kills, the gods of destruction, I find it very hard that the Omni King would just sit back and just watch this happening. But eventually we're probably going to find out more about the story. But that was the first thing that came to mind when he ultimately revealed this for the anime adaptation, even though this was already said for the manga chapter. So as we're continuing the story, Goku Black is pretty much telling Goku how he, as Zamasu, swapped bodies with him and killed Goten and Chi-Chi after stabbing him. And here's where we see a moment of awesomeness of the episode. So Goku pretty much powers up. He's super pissed. He's pretty much saying, how dare you kill my son and my wife? And he kicks Zamasu's ass, and he also kicks Black's ass at the same time. Yes, he kicked his black ass. Yes, I said it, guys. He kicked his black ass. So he was beating him up, and everything seemed like everything was going in Goku's favor, but then ultimately we realized that Zamasu's immortal and Black is on another level of power, and then they start to overpower Goku again. And during all of this shenanigan with Goku fighting all of them and all of these explanations, Vegeta and Trunks are kind of just standing by watching too, because they were a part of an earlier fight. Then they kind of got beaten up but not completely taken out, as they were kind of just watching the story unfold. But the weird thing in all of this was what Zamasu, or what should I say, Goku Black did to Goku himself. Not only did he literally stab Goku, but this guy extended his psionic blade, as Geekdom calls, and is literally like stabbing the living shit out of Goku. Like, that was like, whoa, and then he blasted him away. I'm like, my god, like that looked like a ninja Dragon Ball attack, man. Like, that was incredible. I thought like I was literally watching like Naruto and Dragon Ball all in one. And that was really, really, really cool. And it's also funny to see how, like, as you see the way they use the psionic blade, like, you know, Black's psionic blade seems to be a lot more potent than Zamasu's, obviously. So we're kind of dealing with a situation where, once again, the Z Fighters are obviously being outpowered once again. And then the climax of the episode happens. So after Goku's pretty much done, Zamasu and Black talk to Trunks, and they pretty much look at Trunks as the bad guy and say that how he is the main reason why they're trying to exact all of this revenge on all of the mortals, and how he is the cause of all of these problems. And although Trunks actually helped Zamasu, you know, gain Black's body, he's the cause of all of these timeline shenanigans. He is the source. He is the reason why they're having all of this trouble. So what did they do? They start beating up Trunks. They stab Trunks too. But then what happened next is so incredible. I didn't expect to see this happen. I'm officially dubbing this Super Saiyan Blue 2. Trunks becomes a Super Saiyan Blue 2. But he doesn't get like the blue hair like Goku and Vegeta. Trunks like keeps his Super Saiyan aura and his Super Saiyan form, but like has like a blue tint in between the Super Saiyan. It's like so weird, like I couldn't even explain it. But his eyes are completely dilated, like his pupils are completely dilated. You only see him with the wide eyes, and they've already played with this idea before. If you guys remember back in the Cell arc when Trunks was fighting against, you know, Perfect Cell, and after Vegeta was pretty much knocked out, Trunks is powering up and you see Trunks with like those white pupils. And funny thing is, Geekdom and I actually did a fact video where we described that they used the basis of that little Trunks with the no pupils thing as the basis for Broly's transformation. So going back to this, it seems like Trunks is like combining Super Saiyan 2 with Super Saiyan Blue. I don't know what it is. We're gonna find out more about the transformation probably in the next episode and thereafter. But we see that he's powering up and he's about to go whoop some ass, or hopefully whoop some ass, all by himself against both Black and Zamasu. And I lost it, guys. I'm not the funny thing is, when I was doing this review, I didn't want to sound like Geekdom, but after I actually got a chance to see the episode myself, I do feel a lot of the same things that he felt, in the sense of, I felt like a kid again, guys. Like, I did not expect to see that at all. Like, that was such a climactic ending to the episode. You gotta wonder yourself, how did Trunks, like, train to get that power? Because obviously, you know, Goku and Vegeta have been training to, I guess you could say, acquire this type of god power. But is Trunks' power more of like something due to rage and due to the fact that he's half sane? We don't know. We're gonna find out more, but that was an amazing moment. So now that I got all that super fanboyism out of the way, he turns into a Super Saiyan Blue 2, as I'm officially calling it, and the episode pretty much ends. Now, to talk about the other elements of this episode, let's first start off with the action. Now, the action sequences in this episode were amazing. Like, this episode was like combining episode 57's action sequences, but actually solving a piece, or maybe not the full mystery, because we don't know how the arc unfolds completely. But this episode completed a mystery, in addition to having a phenomenal action sequences where we're seeing like Goku Black like extending his sword, and we actually see all three Saiyans fighting at once, which actually was an improvement from episode 57, where we only really saw Goku and Trunks fighting, and then in episode 56 we only saw Goku and Vegeta fighting. So now we got a chance to really see everybody being involved, which made this a lot more action-packed as a whole, in addition to all of that narration. And the interesting thing about this is that the action sequences, in my opinion, had animation that was somewhat on par with episode 57. Obviously, the animation sequences for 57 were really cool too. It was like you're seeing them like flying through the building a lot more. But I think the animation for this were pretty much on par with that. So I definitely am not going to say it was much of a decline, if not at all. So let's talk about some interesting details here, guys. So the first thing is to talk about how Zamasu is describing Trunks as the cause of all problems. The interesting thing about this is that even though Trunks is the cause of all problems, this whole arc, as Geekdom and I were talking about in a video he's working on right now, if it's already not uploaded, this whole arc is a time loop. So, in essence, Trunks caused all of this, and like I said, I don't want to go too much in depth about this timeline explanation because I'm going to do it in another video. But the whole cause of all of the stuff that happened with the timeline was because of the fact that Trunks went to the past, period. Because Trunks went to the past, period, that meant that Goku would have learned about the Black threat, and Goku went to go see Zamasu, and Goku seeing Zamasu caused Zamasu to have all of this hatred, which caused Zamasu to kill Gowasu and to go to the future to eventually cause all of this problem by obviously teaming up with the future Zamasu, destroying the Super Dragon Balls, doing all of that nonsense and causing this Zero Mortals plan. So in essence, Zamasu and Black are saying Trunks is the cause of all the problems, but in essence, they wouldn't be where they are too if Trunks didn't cause all this. So that's what makes this whole timeline loop thing interesting. It's a complete time loop where you look at the events of Terminator Judgment Day, where if you keep going back and forth, Kyle Reese just has to die. You can't have Kyle Reese not dying in order to create John Connor. That's just the way it works. So to talk about some other things I noticed besides this timeline loop is the fact that this transformation of Trunks actually kind of reminded me of something from Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, if we actually analyze and deduce his form itself, it seems like he's mixing Super Saiyan energy with God energy. Now, is this necessarily a Super Saiyan Blue? I say not. You see, from what we've learned about Super Saiyan Blue is pretty much a mastered God Ki form of Super Saiyan. So they literally have mastered God Ki. They know how to utilize God Ki. So they're using purely God Ki, but they're just turning Super Saiyan with God Ki. That's pretty much what it is. They're not using, I guess you could say, regular energy when they're going Super Saiyan Blue. They're using God Ki strictly. What Trunks seems like he's doing is he is combining both his regular Super Saiyan energy with Super Saiyan Blue, as he probably observed Vegeta doing it, which would be the only way he would have learned. Obviously, observing Goku and Vegeta doing it, he probably had a taste of it himself, or found a way to train himself to use it, I guess through instinct, and is now combining into this new form. And I'm probably going to do a discussion throughout the week with a collaborator talking more about the actual form itself. So, more so, this kind of reminded me of Yu Yu Hakusho, because when Yusuke fought against Yomi, he was actually combining his energy too, as you see him combining both his demon energy with his spirit energy, and that's what allowed him to pretty much pierce through Yomi's shield. For those of you who know Yu Yu Hakusho, you guys would know exactly what I'm talking about. So, those are pretty much my interesting details that I noticed there, and to talk about some of my memorable moments, I want to talk about the fact that Black revealed how he killed Goten Chi-Chi and how Goku exploded. Like, this was a moment in Dragon Ball where you had two badass moments in the same episode, one with Goku and one with Trunks. Now, Goku's was short-lived and he didn't show a new transformation, but I didn't really expect to see Zamasu kill, you know, Goten and Chi-Chi the way he did. I mean, that was a very sad scene, you know, how you see them, you know, Goku's just being a little farmer, you know, having a good time, and Zamasu comes out of nowhere and just kills him. Like, that really, like, caused me to think, like, wow, like, that was kind of a really sad moment, and it was definitely something memorable, because I don't think we've ever seen something like that where you just saw, you know, like, a family just killed like that in Dragon Ball, especially so, you know, obviously after Goku himself is dead and he really can't do anything to protect them. So that was a very sad moment. And when we move on to the key discussion of my super reviews, I'm adding these to my reviews now. I want you guys to have this discussion today. What do you guys think happened to the rest of that initial present timeline? So, to explain this really briefly once again, we have 3 timelines we're dealing with in this arc. In my alternate timeline theory, I explained that there's 4 timelines. You have the unseen timeline, you have Cell's timeline, or the original timeline, you have the future Trunks timeline that we're dealing with in this arc, and then we have obviously the main timeline. What I'm saying here is there are now two present timelines. So I'm going to call one the present timeline, and I'm going to call one the fixing timeline. The fixing timeline is the timeline that Beerus killed the present Zamasu and fixed Zamasu from potentially doing all of what he was about to do. So that's the fixed present timeline. The bad present timeline, or should I say the negative present timeline, is this one where now Goku's killed and Chi-Chi and Goten are also dead as well. So my question to you guys is, since that actually did happen and that is an alternate timeline now, what do you guys think happened to the rest of that timeline in the sense of, do you guys think Zamasu in Goku's body went around killing all of the other Z fighters, or do you guys think he just went to go and just, you know, kill Gowasu and go into the future? Do you think he just left it, or do you think he actually took out the other Z fighters? The reason why I'm asking is because I would think that if he was there, he would have some form of resistance to obviously combat the other Z fighters or somewhat, because it's hard for me to believe that they would have just stood there and just let that all happen. So that's my thoughts. And because it was a peace timeline, you would think that the rest are just sitting there, obviously, you know, being able to defend themselves if they need to. So that's my key discussion for you guys for today. So overall, guys, I'm pulling a geekdom here. I have to say that this is the best episode of Super so far. After watching this episode 3 times before doing this review, I would have to say that this definitely had the best action in Dragon Ball Super so far. It's on par with 57. The mysteries being resolved, as I said before, and the twist with Trunks' new transformation, in addition to combining this with Goku's moment of being a badass, you really can't ask for more in an episode. You can't ask for a solved story, awesome action, and an awesome twist. That is the perfect definition of a Dragon Ball episode. This is a perfect Dragon Ball episode. It is. Like, to me, I can't find anything that I didn't like. The things I don't like are just things that are not explained yet, which we will eventually find out, but that's not the episode's fault. It's a perfect episode. I have no criticism of it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. So with all that said, and for my predictions, I just want to say that I believe that future Trunks, as we saw in the preview, we saw him fighting a little bit and powering up even more. I believe that future Trunks is going to fight, obviously, Zamasu and Black on his own, and although I can't make an exact judgment, I strongly predict that the plot of Super is not going to end with Black and Zamasu being killed at the same time. Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball in general, has a recurring theme in which they do a thing where, like, they kill a henchman before killing the last bad guy. They never always, like, just kill, like, the 2 main protagonists at once. How we see in Dragon Ball where, like, Nappa died before Vegeta obviously was defeated. How we see Captain Ginyu and the whole Ginyu Force and all of Frieza's henchmen were defeated before Frieza was defeated. How we see in the Cell arc how the androids were taken out in a sense, and then the Cell Juniors were defeated before Cell was defeated, and then Majin Buu had all of his forms. Dragon Ball has a recurring theme, and even if you go back to King Piccolo and stuff, where they always kill the main bad guy last. So I believe that Trunks, if he's gonna get a kill, or if Vegeta's gonna get a kill, or if Goku's gonna somehow trap somebody with this evil containment wave like we're seeing with Master Roshi, it's going to be Black. Black is going to be defeated first, and Zamasu is going to be the very last one to go. That's my prediction. I don't know for exactly sure how that's gonna go, but that's my ultimate prediction. So that's been all I've had to say for today, guys. I had a lot to talk about in this episode, and I hope you guys, you know, have a lot to say in the comment section. So without wasting any more time, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And this was a damn good episode.